Welcome to the dev server for War Thunder's final major patch of 2020. In this video I will be taking a look at the A.109EOA, which is a weaponized version of the widespread civilian Agusta A.109 helicopter. The EOA version was a development of the A.109 specifically for use with the Italian army. Being developed from and looking so much like a civilian helicopter, I am certainly excited to see what kind of user skins will come along for the A.109 after its release to live servers. There is certainly a rather wide variety of schemes that could be adapted for this version. The helicopter itself marks the midpoint of the new Italian helicopter tech tree, being placed at tier 6 and currently BR 9.3. The weapon payloads on this helicopter are fairly simple, no fixed weapons, so you will be relying solely on your pylon payloads, although this is nothing new for earlier helicopters in the game, especially utility helicopters such as this. The stock payload consists of 4 rocket pods with 7 individual rockets per pod, giving you 28 FFAR Mighty Mouse rockets overall. It is fair to say that these are one of the more common rocket types for helicopters in-game, so many people with previous helicopter experience will likely have already used them. As of this dev server iteration, the A.109 does not have a ballistic computer to assist in aiming these rockets, so a little bit of practice will certainly go a long way to ensure that you make the most out of your payload. As a tier 1 modification, you can then unlock gun pods for the A.109. 2 of these can be carried, each have a single 12.7mm machine gun, and you may recognize these from the Bo 105 series and the A.109 International. Now the tier 1 modification unlocks the single 50 cal version of this gun pod. However, this is followed by a modification at tier 3, which allows for a modified version of these gun pods to be used. This modified version also carries a few Mighty Mouse rockets underneath the gun itself, allowing for a slightly more diverse payload. The primary weapon for this helicopter would be the BGM-71-TOW anti-tank guided missile. This can be acquired through a tier 2 modification, which will then allow for up to 4 of these missiles to be carried. This, as with the other payloads, is a fairly common armament for helicopters in War Thunder, and is a missile type that many players will have experienced by now. The TOW has 630mm of pen and can be fired at a range of up to 1.89 miles or 3 kilometers, and will travel at 296 meters per second. A few points of note for the TOW missile: the firing box in the sight is fairly high up. This means that you will have to either be at quite low altitude or angling your helicopter downwards to effectively fire the missile. Personally, I do dislike the height of this firing box, as it takes away some flexibility with where you're flying. However, it is just one of those features that you will have to work around, and being made to stay at low altitude in a helicopter isn't exactly a bad thing. The A.109 is powered by a pair of Allison 250 jets, which drive a single rotor and a tail rotor. This is, of course, a similar setup to most of the turbine-powered helicopters in-game. As for additional systems, the A.109 does get a thermal sight, which will of course assist in spotting targets during both day and night conditions. This is a tier 3 modification on the helicopter. The helicopter then also has a radar warning receiver that currently comes as a stock feature on the helicopter. This will of course notify you of any nearby radar activity. Finally, the A.109 also has an IRCM unit which will prevent the lock and tracking of earlier generation air-to-air missiles, although this generally speaking will not work against more modern man-pad missiles such as the Stinger and the Igler. The A.109 does not feature a detailed cockpit and also lacks any secondary skins, although I am hopeful that we will see some nice designs from the community after the release to live servers. Overall, I would not say that the A.109 is anything special. It's certainly outmatched considerably by the A.129 CBT, which is only 1 minor BR above it. However, I do feel that this is one of the more interesting helicopter designs I've seen added to the game recently, and I certainly like the sleek civilian helicopter vibe that the A.109 has. As it lacks any air-to-air weapons and only has first-generation TOW missiles, I would think that the BR 9.0 or perhaps even 8.7 could fit this helicopter better, although that's up to Gaijin to decide. Anyway though, that should conclude my relatively quick overview of the Agusta A.109EOA. Overall, pretty interesting looking helicopter, and I do look forward to seeing how it performs on the live servers once the Italian tech tree actually reaches live servers. Anyway though, thank you very much for watching the video. If you did enjoy, please consider dropping a like, and if you wish to see more content such as this, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.